Ah, the sound of Windows XP. It truly takes you back to a time in computer technology that is long since past. A time where anything more than 1 or 2 gigs of RAM was considered overkill, and a time where most people's CPU's clock speeds were still calculated in megahertz. The internet was still pretty much the Wild West, and Windows wasn't constantly spying on you by making you sign into Microsoft.com and running all sorts of weird stuff in the background that's definitely not spyware. This was truly an interesting time. And for Windows, this was actually kind of a transition period. See, before Windows XP, Microsoft actually kind of had 2 separate versions of Windows. One that was made for personal home computers, and one that was directed more towards business and professional use. Versions like 3.1, 95, 98, and Windows Me were geared more towards your home computer, while the different versions of Windows NT and Windows 2000 were geared more towards professional use. These two are usually separated into 2 different terms, the Windows 9X lineup and Windows NT. And if you didn't already know, Windows 9X pretty much just means Windows 95, 98, and Me. And Windows 98 2nd Edition if you want to count that one too. While yes, these 2 different lineups of Windows do look very similar, in reality they couldn't be more different. What I mean by that is that Windows 9X is still running on top of DOS at this time, which in all reality it kind of isn't its own operating system, it pretty much just gives DOS its own user interface. I know I'm probably going to anger a lot of people by saying that. Windows NT, which stands for New Technology, is Microsoft's own operating system. It didn't run on top of DOS, and it gave Microsoft a lot more opportunities to improve and add stuff to their operating system. I mean, heck, deep down in the code base, Windows is still pretty much the same operating system as it was 30 years ago, when they were still developing the NT platform. Now, Windows always planned on bringing the NT version to the home market, but they weren't quite sure how and when. Windows Me was actually intended to be the first NT home version of Windows, but for some reason in development, they just decided to make it the final version of Windows 9X, just with a crap ton of bugs and a bunch of features removed. But about a year and a half later, a project that Windows had been working on for a long time, codenamed Whistler, was released in mid-2001 and renamed to Windows XP. And for the first time, the home and the professional versions of Windows were under one operating system, which made things a lot less confusing for people going out and buying a retail copy of Windows and not being sure on which copy they should get. Now, in this video, we're going to be using the professional version of Windows XP, and that's mainly because that's just the copy I could get my hands on, and it's probably the best version. So without further ado, let's just get right into installing this, but like always, remember to go ahead and like and subscribe, that's really helpful, and if you would like to have early access to these videos and get your name put at the end of them, become a super supporter of the channel, that would be really helpful. But let's just go ahead and get right into the video, and thank you guys for watching. Alright, so this is VM Workstation 17. I have everything set up here. I've already got the Windows XP virtual machine thing set up. I've given it 4 gigs of RAM, even though it is a 32-bit operating system and it'll only use like a 3 1/4. I've given it 2 cores, 20 gigs, and I have accelerated 3D graphics, and I've given it a gig of video memory. We will probably not use half of that, but that is there if we need it. I think we have everything set up here. VMware, I've noticed, is better for gaming virtual machines. Maybe Oracle's just as good, and I'm just not really that good at it. But yeah, I'm just using VM Workstation. It's got a good driver set. So yeah, let me open it right up and let's get right into it. All right, so here we go. We are starting up. This is the original Windows setup or disk setup thing. I know it's really small right now. I might zoom in on the screen a little bit so you guys can see this better. I'll unpin that so we don't have to have that up all the time. And yeah, this is the original Windows setup. Haven't seen this in a long time. We'll just hit continue on this. Have it set up Windows. I agree to whatever that is. We need to use that partition at the NTFS, and there we go. And it is now formatting. Not sure. Yeah, this doesn't take too long. Especially since this is a virtual drive, it doesn't take very long. If it was a real drive, it would take much longer, but yeah, it is now checking our C drive. Now it's copying files to the virtual disk. This shouldn't take too long, I don't think. Alright, so that did take a little bit longer than I expected. Now we're at 95%, about to be done with this. It'll ask us... Is it installs my configuration? Okay, now it'll reboot. We can hit enter to reboot, we don't have to sit there and wait. And here we go. We are starting the Windows XP installation. This should only take a few seconds. There we go. And here we go. It's already got this kind of set up a little bit. Yeah, I'm definitely probably going to have this zoomed in so you guys can see it. It's just a little tiny square on my screen right now. Alright, so as it installs, it's telling us about an exciting new look. It's talking about Windows XP having the new Luna theme and all that. Just a bunch of like stuff they would tell you, like, hey, try out this try out the easy Windows like thing or whatever. Just a bunch of crap from back then, I guess, telling you how to use basic stuff. It says also supports integrated CD recording, so now you can easily save a CD-ROM or a CD rewritable drive. Interesting. All sorts of new stuff that we like is pretty much obsolete today. So pretty much kind of the goal for this video is to see what I can actually do with Windows XP here in 2024. I know there's not going to be a lot. I did get like a list of programs that would work, and I'm going to try a few games that I have sitting around here on the disk and see if they'll work or not. But yeah, let's just let this install. It says it might take like 34 minutes, so I'm either going to cut or just do a time lapse of this installing, and whenever I can like interact with something, I will be back. Alright, so here we go. It's going to have us do our language options. All that should be default. We're just going to be nostalgic. Our company's YouTube. I can't even see it. I can't even like tell what it says. The screen's so small. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I gotta do my product key right quick, so I'm gonna skip this because I can't share this. Alright, so now we got the product key in. It'll have our computer name, which I care less about that. We don't need a password. Keep going. We will be on the Eastern time zone, if I can find it. And there it is. Alright, so I don't know how long this will take. This shouldn't take too long, I don't think. I keep saying that. Okay, so just a typical installation. It's not on a network. As it keeps having us do this random stuff, now it says 27 minutes, so it's slowly getting there. You know, it's been quite a while since I've done a Windows XP installation, so I'm kind of remembering how to do this. It's pretty simple, and it's kind of like all the other ones, but it's still kind of like the Windows 9X installation, but it's not too bad. Alright, so now the installation's finished. We're rebooting from that. It's telling us to please wait. This will automatically adjust my resolution. There we go. Okay, it didn't really help the resolution out very much, but I don't know how much more it should be doing. I think we're pretty much done with the installation at this point. It might ask us to do a few more things. Here we go. Wow, that nostalgic music. Yeah, this is extremely, like, nostalgic. Anytime, okay, yeah, pretty much that's the help thing. Alright, we can keep going. Yeah, automatic updates in 2024. I mean, yeah, technically we turn those on. I don't know, it's not gonna do anything. Checking for internet. It should be able to connect. Ooh, I can't remember. It just connects directly to the internet, I don't know. No. We are not registering with Microsoft. Put in our name. And here we go. Beautiful. Slowly loading. It played the music a little bit early. There we go. And here we are. This is Windows XP. Let's see if we can get the resolution to come up a little bit. Alright, here we go. Yeah, we can actually. That's good. 1920 by 1080. There we go. There we go. Alright, good. And there we go, yeah. I actually thought that was going to be a much harder thing. I think we still need to install the driver, the VMware driver stuff. But yeah, there we go. And yeah, that's kind of what I just ended up doing. I installed VMware Tools, which is just a bunch of drivers for Windows to use in VMware. I'm not sure exactly how compatible all of these will be in Windows XP, but I guess we'll just have to see. So installing it's pretty easy. You just click through the installer prompt, and it has you restart, and of course it resets my resolution, so I have to redo it again. But yeah, that's pretty painless. Now, of course, one of the first things you want to do with Windows is to be able to browse the internet. And typically with these older versions of Windows, you would go to Internet Explorer, which is your number one tool to go download a different web browser. But sadly, since like 2021 or 2022, I forgot, Internet Explorer is completely unusable, so we can't use that. And trust me, I tried. Literally nothing works. Like Google.com works and you can do a search, but good luck trying to get into any website, because this version of Internet Explorer literally doesn't support any modern website. And to be honest, I don't think any of the newer versions of Internet Explorer do either. And like I said earlier, since 2021 or 2022, I forgot which one, this is pretty much unusable anyway. And you might ask, well, how do you actually get a web browser on here? And that's actually a pretty good question. What I ended up doing is just creating an ISO file and putting a bunch of stuff in it that I knew I would probably need, and just mounted it to the virtual drive. Pretty much meaning that if you did this on actual hardware, you would have to burn like a CD or DVD, or try to use a USB thumb drive and hope the drivers match up. I don't know, maybe there's some other trick that I'm missing, but from my knowledge, this is about the only way to do it. So what I ended up finding was Firefox 43, which is the last version of Firefox that supports Windows XP, and just ended up installing that. The setup was pretty smooth, but what wasn't was actually browsing on it, and that's because it was super slow, but I think that has to do with the emulator. I don't think you would have this problem on actual hardware, but it's a lot more usable than Internet Explorer, and you can actually kind of watch YouTube videos on it. And this version of Firefox still utilizes the Luna theme very nicely, which I would say if you did want to actually try using the internet, which I don't recommend doing it very much on Windows XP these days, I would go with Firefox 43. I also got GIMP to work on this. I had to go get version 2.8, but it actually did kind of work nicely, and I tried to make the thumbnail for this video on there, but it was way different than what it is today, and I couldn't figure it out. That and trying to download images and stuff on Windows XP, it was like, nah, I'll just do it on my regular PC. I did also try to install LibreOffice, but it just didn't work. I even tried to use the version that was still compatible with Windows XP, and it didn't work either, so I guess you could probably still find an even older version, but I was like, nah, I already made the ISO and I wasn't going to make another one. I did go ahead and decide to try to install a couple different games though, starting with Morrowind. I figured I would do this because I just got the Half-Life Anthology on eBay and I just had this disc sitting around. And I figured, hey, this would be an XP game I could try out. And believe it or not, it installed just fine, didn't give me any problems. I was kind of thinking I might run into some problems because of the virtual machine not having the proper drivers, but it launched just fine and played well. The only problem that I had was the weird resolution problem that I have on my main PC, and some lag, I guess because of the virtual machine. But other than that, it was playable. But I would much rather play it on actual hardware and not the virtual machine, because this lag can get kind of annoying. Now, this wouldn't be a nostalgic 9080 video without a little bit of LEGO Star Wars, so I tried to install LEGO Star Wars the video game on here. I had no idea if the virtual machine would even let me play this or not, but I went through the install process. It pretty much went flawlessly, and I went ahead and opened it, and it worked just fine. I didn't really get any lag or anything like that, but I did try to plug in my Xbox 360 controller, and it couldn't find any drivers for it. But I'm not too surprised by that though. There might be some XP drivers for it out there somewhere, but it'd probably take me forever to try to find them, and they might not even work to begin with. I will say, trying to play LEGO Star Wars or any other LEGO game for that matter on a keyboard is nearly impossible to me. I don't know how people do it. The control scheme's so weird, and I'm trying to figure out like how to attack, and I'm just pressing random buttons and I just can't figure it out. It's just weird. I eventually did kind of find out the control scheme, but it wasn't any better, and I was still just as bad, and I just decided to quit. I did go ahead and try to play some of the built-in Windows games like 3D Pinball. I mean, listen to those sound effects. Those never get old. Sadly though, all the online games that they had on here have long since been shut down. I think they also did that like in 2021 or 2022, which is unfortunate because those were really fun. But hey, Solitaire still works. I also checked out this interesting little Windows XP intro video thing. It's kind of like an interactable like intro tutorial thing that kind of tells you about like the business version and the home version and stuff like that and all the different features. I don't really know of anybody that watched this, so I'm kind of surprised it didn't pop up on the first startup, but hey, it's here and they don't really tell you that it's here. But yeah, that was Windows XP in 2024. Would I recommend using it? Absolutely not. But if you want to pop it in a virtual machine, or if you have an older computer sitting around and you just want to have that Windows XP experience again, then yeah, reinstall it or just use it and enjoy it. But just don't make it your main operating system and try to avoid using the internet. But yeah, that's about all I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoyed making this video. It was a lot of fun looking back at Windows XP, and I hope this video does really good because I would love to look back at other versions of Windows too, like Vista, Me 95, 98, and kind of see how usable they still are today. But like always, I want to say a special thanks to my super supporters on screen here, and if you would like to have early access to my videos and have your name put here, then hit that join button down below and become a super supporter. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.